Howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Psycho Clown World. Apparently this is take 12.
And here we
Get ready for another dive down the rabbit hole. But for safety purposes first, copyright disclaimer, fair use. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107. Fair use for purposes of criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. And that's what we're here to do. And this is number 3 from that Guardians of the Looking Glass. Let's give a look-see.
There is very little time left to alter the negative outcome we have spoken about. We are requesting viewers finish watching this video, and then do all that is possible to share it. The cascading effect, when shared, can have a very powerful impact in changing these events. They are called ripples, and these small ripples can grow, disrupting the negative forces working to bring about the negative timeline outcome. First, the April 18, 2022 false flag must be prevented. This is not the end of our work, it is only the beginning. If this event is prevented, or forestalled, a series of other, serious events soon follow, over 70 in total, leading up to the year 2030. Each and every one of them must be prevented, or the negative outcome will not be stopped. According to our data, if the April 18th event is prevented, the next date of an event that must be prevented is May 20th. On this date, an operation will occur out of the public eye, never reported in the media. This operation will take place in Southeast Asia, and involve the assassination of a former Chinese military scientist. This event, if it takes place, ensures the negative outcome occurs. The name of the scientist is Dr. Winston Wu. We, as Guardians of the Looking Glass, have already made attempts to warn Dr. Wu of the upcoming attempt on his life. Our data shows that, no matter how many times we try to warn this man of his fatal outcome, the event does not change. Even if he takes steps to protect himself, it is not enough. Part of the reason for this is that the negative forces have the same data we have, and they can anticipate our warnings, and circumvent them. As a result, we determined the only way to prevent his death is by the actions of viewers who share the information. Once broadly shared, it becomes apparent in the timeline data that the event can be prevented. The negative forces change plans, upon their plans being publicly disseminated and revealed. This is the case for preventing many events. Once a plan, or date, is revealed, and enough public awareness is made, the event can be stopped. But if not enough people are made aware of the date, then it cannot be stopped. This took place on September 11, 2001. There had been some prior warnings, in previous months and years, of this date. But the information was not disseminated widely enough. A former CIA asset and infiltrator, by the name of Jeff Swedenborg, had made numerous attempts to warn people of this date, but his warnings were ignored. The event eventually came to pass, without any interruption. Dr. Wu's work and project, which is almost entirely unknown at this time, is critical to stopping the negative outcome, and instead bringing about the positive outcome. This is why the negative forces are specifically concerned about him, and targeting him. Dr. Wu's project is called Raindrop. Through his work, using quantum computing, he is able to do great damage to the European power structure in the coming years. His project is currently underway, and will reach completion in May, and from there, his work begins to expand all over the world. He begins spending vast amounts of money to destroy the current world order. The people involved in his project, who are all over the world, also help to fulfill his vision, and many others join him to bring down the current power structure. He is being targeted for elimination, and if nothing is done, he will be killed on May 20th, 2022. This leads to the cessation of his project, the confiscation of his work, his funds, and the arrests of those involved.
Sounds like
his
what they did at Tesla.
Is destroyed, and the negative timeline is then solidified, and cannot be altered from that point forward. His work is also essential in disrupting the operations of the Large Hadron Collider, or CERN. If his life can be saved, he goes on to continue his work, and in doing so, prevent multiple horrific events that have been planned by the negative power structure. If we can prevent the April 18th attack, and forestall the nuclear war, an economic collapse still happens in late 2022, when America will descend into chaos. Americans will be desperate for food, basic services, even water. Dr. Wu's work brings financial relief for many. In this time, followers of Dr. Wu will be given tens, or even hundreds of millions in other currencies, and in cryptocurrencies, which will still retain value in currencies like the euro. His work saves the lives of many Americans, who are able to use those funds to still buy things and escape the chaos. The negative forces are able to see all of this, as well, so they have planned to assassinate Dr. Wu on May 20th, 2022. If this occurs, his work is destroyed, and he has no positive impact at all on the devastating events to come. This ensures, to the highest degree of certainty, that the negative singularity in 2030 takes place, and cannot be prevented. All of our data shows that for us to succeed in preventing the negative outcome in 2030 and singularity, Dr. Wu's life must be saved, and his work must continue. Even if the economic collapse occurs, or nuclear war, if Dr. Wu survives, there still remains a chance to prevent the negative outcome. Our data shows that by the end of 2029, entering into 2030, Dr. Wu and his project must be operating for the positive outcome to succeed. It is determined that his work using his quantum computer against CERN is one of the most critical aspects of disrupting the negative outcome. Our data clearly shows that the only way to save his life is for each person to disseminate and spread this information, and to support Dr. Wu and his Raindrop project. Our next video will discuss the next event that must be prevented. But for now, stopping Event 1 and Event 2 are of the most critical priority. With the reactivation of CERN and repowering of CERN, which took place on March 22nd,
That's confirmed.
we believe the negative power structure has plans to disrupt the timelines to even a greater degree, in ways not even our data from the looking glass may have revealed to us. This concerns us greatly. If our information is not spread quicker and faster, we believe the negative power structure is doing something with CERN to completely stop us, or anyone, from preventing the negative singularity. This is why Dr. Wu's work ends up being so important, because he is able to specifically target and destroy their operations in a way no one else can.
Now remember, every time they fire up CERN and they collide particles, they literally destroy the universe in which we live, the dimension in which we live. And that's why we merge with a parallel universe next to us. That's where the Mandela effect has been coming from. That's why things are looking different. But and the more that they do it, the more that they change it, and they're going to keep trying to do it to really move. It's going to be very noticeable. More and more Mandela effects are going to come about. This is a little clip from Sheep Farm Studios. Give this a listen.
I think that the key issue is the emerging ability to hack human beings, which was never the case before in history.
To hack your mind.
There's a lot of talk about hacking computers and smartphones and bank accounts, but the really big revolution we are living through is the emerging ability to hack people, to collect enough. If you have enough data on a person and you have enough computing power, you can hack that person. You can understand them better than they understand themselves. You can know their political views, their sexual preferences, their personality, even better than they, and then you can completely manipulate them. And this is something that democracy,
Loss
or frankly
of
any
free
other
will,
human society, never
of
had
choice.
to deal with before. It was impossible throughout history. And this really undermines our traditional ideas about democracy and open society. But democracy assumes free will from individuals, that we ultimately, nobody can manipulate us beyond a certain point. And it's the same with the free economy, that, the customer is always right. In the end, corporations say customers have free will. But once corporations and governments have the ability to hack humans, then there is no longer free will.
Hear that?
First of all, we are seeing
Gone.
an enormous rise in unemployment because of the pandemic. And at the same time, you could have expected, okay, there'll be a period of large unemployment. Gradually, within a few years, things will return to normal and people will have jobs again. But this time it's different, because at the same moment, you also have a dramatic historical shift in the economy, which is digitalization and automation. So entire industries are being digitalized and automated, something that experts thought would take 10, 20 years and will have a problem in 2040. It's now accelerating. That, in my own university, we talked about moving online, digitalizing the university for years and have done nothing. When the COVID strike, we did it in 2 weeks, just shifted the whole university online. Now there is a new form of imperialism, kind of digital imperialism, to dominate a country today, you don't need to send in the tanks. You just need to take out the data.
So can anybody tell me what kind of psycho clown world we live in? Eyes open, no fear, and remember that love is the only way forward.